Oh, God. I'm gonna have to shovel. I don't even have a snowblower. Nobody to plow me. Oh, my God, and the neighbors suck. They don't help. Oh, my God, what am I gonna do?
Do you want to keep the cash flowing this winter? Head over to L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com and check out all of Brian Fullerton's new courses and powerful resources to get you cashing in on that white gold through plowing snow. The Snow Plowing Training Course is easy to understand, and you'll learn what it takes to do the job effectively and how to bid, price, and estimate snow plowing for both residential and commercial properties. L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com has 3 new resources to take the hassle and guesswork out of securing your snow removal jobs, plus there's eye-catching marketing materials that can help you secure new clients quickly. Ready to crush the snow game this year? Visit L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com or use the link in the podcast description.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys. Today, we have a really great guest interview lined up for you guys. Actually, you guys know the name. Maybe you haven't got the chance to meet him in person, hence why you need to go to GIE Plus Expo this year. But, guys, we were joined with none other than Jason Wilk here from Echo USA. Jason, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Brian?
We are doing great. Actually, we are stumbling through this startup of the podcast. My memory card was full, and I was coming with all this gusto and all this energy, and then the podcast mixer board errored out, and I said, well, that's not cool. So this is attempt number 2. So we already got 2 podcasts in with you today. How cool is that? The efficiency.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
That's cool. But hey, so if folks don't know you, they might be living under a rock. You are actually out there quite a bit. You've been on other podcasts, Paul Jameson with the Green Industry Podcast, a couple other folks. Always a great conversation anytime I get to hear what you have going on with the mothership that is Echo USA. And so let's do this really quick. Why don't you get these guys up to speed about who you are, what you do, your background, and then we're going to have a fun conversation about all things Echo on today's podcast.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So Jason Wilk, product manager for Echo. I've been in the product management role here at Echo now for about 5 years. Overall, my entire career has been in the outdoor power equipment industry. I actually started in Echo back in 1999, so it's going on 22 years with the company.
Yeah.
So been in various roles. Started kind of right out of trade school, working customer service department. Helping people with, how do I mix my gas and oil, and how do I start my trimmer, and, things along, the very basic stuff. And then kind of as I, got some time under my belt, started moving into the technical side of things and warranty side of things. And then, I got into technical training and just really kind of grown with the company throughout the years. But, my entire working career has always been in outdoor power equipment. I absolutely love the industry. I love the products. And couldn't think of doing anything else.
No kid. Yeah. Amen. Well, I always appreciate your knowledge, your enthusiasm. No lie, guys. Jason and I, we get to catch up once or twice a year, every year for the last 5 years. And honestly, I always get to catch up with Jason. I enjoy catching up with Jason. I consider him a friend. I consider him a buddy in the industry. It's one of those things where we don't get to talk as much as we both would like. But anytime we do get to reconnect, it's like, dude, like so much good stuff is going on, right? We're just both foaming at the mouth, excited about what we have going on, And so here's what I want to just kind of dive into a little bit today is, if you guys are regular listeners to the show, you know that we have different show sponsors and people that partner with the show. And this fall, we have Echo partnering up with the show. And so I always like to extend an invitation to those companies that partner up. And guys, we all hear all day long from other lawn bros and guys and girls in the industry growing the companies that we all own and have. But one thing that I really love is getting the other side of the conversation, the corporate side, the companies, the manufacturing side, and all these folks that are making the tools for our businesses. And so, Jason, you said you've been working with Echo since 1999?
1999, yes.
Wow, that's great. That's crazy. And so, how we actually got to know each other, let's go back to memory lane, a stroll down memory lane, as the kids say here. We actually bumped into each other when you guys were just starting to onboard some of the different things with the Echo UAG group. And we were thankful and excited to be part of that program about 4 or 5 years ago. And in fact, that was like one of the first cool things I got to do by having a YouTube channel. So can you take it back to, I guess that would be 2016, 2017. What were you doing then? And then how did your role change as you kind of moved up in the company and started working with that program?
Yeah, so back in 2016, I was probably just getting into the product management role at that point. I was probably just transitioning from technical training. So I was a national technical trainer, moving into the product management side of things.
Okay.
So I believe my role at that point wasn't so much, I don't even think I had any product categories. I was probably working on some projects that I probably just couldn't talk about at that point.
Sure.
But they're carrying me on over to just kind of talk about, Echo and whole, some of the differences between Echo engines and the competition. And, if anyone had any questions on, what's the difference between an SRM 266 or 2620, I was able to kind of go into the technical details between those two types of units and the differences in the price points.
Sure.
So I do remember that kind of first UAG group, which obviously you were part of. And yeah, I was just there to, answer any questions that may come up. There's, how it is when you get a bunch of, landscapers very product savvy in a meeting room. You start getting questions on everything from carburetor adjustments, the fuel, the oil type, the maintenance, all that good stuff. And
right.
Just with my industry kind of knowledge, just throughout the years, learning all this stuff, they'll bring me in to kind of rapid fire any questions that come up.
Calling all landscape pros who want to get serious about healthy turf and a healthier bottom line. It's time to throw down new innovations. Built on 50 years of proven agronomic proficiency, Lesco fertilizers, control products, seed, and equipment are engineered to produce more resilient turf. We'll continue to bring new technologies, so no matter the day, you'll always bring your A game. Upgrade and outperform with Lesco. Visit siteone.com/Lesco today to learn more.
I like that. Well, it's no lie, when you bring in a group of YouTubers or just people in general, guys, all of you listening in, you all have exciting things that you enjoy about your equipment and complaints about your equipment. We all do, right? And so when Jason says in front of like a conference room, I mean, this is at corporate Echo headquarters, and I'm a fish out of water. Okay, I'm normally cutting grass. I'm grass stained shoes. I smell like all different kinds of odors from just sweating out in the sun. And these folks are in khaki pants and sport coats, and they're driving nice cars, and I'm over here doopy-doo. And it was just funny though, because Jason's like, does anybody have any questions about our product line? And you want to talk about on the firing squad. I felt for you because it not like it was anything negative. It was just when you guys open up the conversation to, hey, do you guys have any suggestions? It was really, really cool. It was really cool to hear for the first time ever, in my opinion, a company have such a direct line of communication to YouTubers, influencers, folks that here, like you guys talk to me, I get to talk to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, right? And so to me, it was some trailblazing for sure back in the day where you guys started listening like exactly to the customer, and you had always had before. That's why you guys have great product. Don't get me wrong. But that was all new stuff that had not really been experimented with or working with before. What take it back to 2016, 17 if you can. What was the MO for Echo to start developing the UAG program and start working with some other folks in the field other than just, doing the voice of customer out in the field and some field tests?
Yeah, I mean, always with Echo, it's always been, starting with the end user, going out, working on landscape crews, at least from a product management standpoint. I mean, that's kind of one of the things that, we're measured on throughout the years, getting out, working with customers, and unfortunately, you can only get to so many people and there's only so much time in a day and so many days in a week, right? So it was almost an opportunity to kind of flip that, right? So opposed to me spending a week out in the field with, one or two crews, we could kind of bring in people from across the country with different levels of businesses, from the size to the type of services they provide, and opposed to just me being one representative, hearing it and kind of relaying it up to the, upper management. They were able to hear it firsthand, right? So it was kind of like after we did it, it was like, this is fantastic. I mean, the amount of value that group and the current group brings is just, is unbelievable. Like you said, the amount of feedback and the comments and the suggestions. And I can't tell you how many times where someone will bring something up or question something or point something out. And, we all kind of, all the product managers kind of look at each other and go, why didn't we think of that? Right?
Sure.
That's an awesome point. That's great. I appreciate you pointing it out. Let's identify it. Let's, either correct it, improve it, do what we need to do. And it's just a win-win for everybody.
Amen. Well, and I think that's, there's no secret out there, guys. I'm a big Echo fan. I have my first real, power equipment was all Echo. My dealer Weingarts of Michigan here, they're big Red Max fans, and they own the distributorship, for Red Max, so they kind of double dip. Yep. So they're very heavy on Red Max here. But in all honesty, my first couple pieces of equipment, granted, they weren't like the great pro line, the 2620 line. Sure. It was a lot of the SRM 225s, and to take it way back, it was the Jason, you know the line better than I do. The bent shaft, curve shaft trimmer, the GMT. Yep. Do you know that one? What's the SKU?
Yeah, it's either GT, depending on how far back you go. If it was an orange power head, it was a GT 225. If it was a gray power head, which is probably late 1990s, early 2000s, you're probably talking a GT 2100 was the model number.
Okay, I think it was the 225, the Home Depot. I had the bent shaft and the rounded out curve shaft, and that was like, I'm telling you guys, I take it all the way back. I love that little trimmer. Like, it was my little rounded out trimmer. I had no idea what I'm doing. Yeah. And like, we always talk about painting the picture of where you want your company to be, right? And for me, it was one day I'll have an SRM 225. Like, I'm telling you, you guys are laughing probably listening to this, but I come from way back. You know what I'm saying? And I remember buying the SRM 225 at Home Depot for, I think, $179. I feel like it's an inflation-proof price. Yeah. It's like the dollar menu. It's always $1. Well, the SRM 225 has always been whatever, guys, $179. Don't quote me. But a lot of my equipment, I think I had a little 580, back in the day, and I ran Echo for a long while, and I just. So many of you guys out there know that their engines just last. I mean, they're bulletproof in my opinion. And so Jason, let me ask you that. Why are Echo engines the one, in my opinion, one of the best quality engines? Because I've ran everything, I've seen everything, to a degree. And people always ask me, what do you think about Echo? I'm like, rock solid engines, rock solid performance. What's the process, or why is that something that you guys can hang your hat on in confidence?
Yeah, no. So, I mean, Echo's actually been manufacturing their own engines since about 1955. So we have
Wow.
over 65 years of engine building expertise, and that's really what we are at the core of our company. Is we are a two-stroke engine manufacturer. So even before Echo was manufacturing, well before we were manufacturing SRM 225s and the old SRM 2100s, I mean, we made two-stroke engines. The first two-stroke engine that ever powered a string trimmer in the United States was built by Echo.
Oh, wow.
We developed racing large displacement two-stroke snowmobile engines for years. In the mid 70s, we were making 340 cc, 440 cc, 500 cc two-stroke high-performance snowmobile engines for a handful of players during that time. We made actually some special edition race engines for John Deere.
Really?
That won multiple, high performance endurance, 500-mile cross country, durability type of races that were Echo engines powering John Deere snowmobiles.
Wow.
Which won several first place ribbons throughout the couple years. If snowmobiling is big in your area, in the mid 70s, there was Mercury. I think it was Mercury made, it was Mercury Marine had a line of snowmobiles. And I mean, the engines on this thing were just renowned to be like the most high performance, best engines. They're called Twister engines.
Okay.
That was the brand that Mercury Marine assigned to these high performance snowmobile engines. And those are 100% built by Echo.
Wow.
So we have a lot of engine know-how. Like I said, over 65 years of building high quality, high performance, high durability, endurance type two-stroke engines. We're one of the few, if not the only manufacturer that actually houses all engine manufacturing processes in-house.
Wow.
I mean, literally from bringing in, aluminum billets to melting those down to, casting cylinders and using, high-tech machines, a lot of which we've actually designed and patented on our own to give us, electrical discharge machining of ports and different types of coating and micro polishing of crankshafts. I mean, there's a lot of patents and just engine know-how within the Echo organization that I think is what you see in the durability and the performance and the startability of all the Echo engines out there.
Yeah, well, and not to sound like an Echo fanboy here, but I every time you guys reach out to me via DM or email, hey, what equipment do you recommend? I think everybody's got their strengths and their pros and cons, but I always say. And Jason, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm like, hey, Echo's an engine company. Their engines are just incredible. And, again, to go back to the SRM 225s and like those Echo 580s, like there's so many guys that still have them on their rigs and crews, and they're beat to snot. They're smashed up. They're dented. We've replaced the tubes. We're duct taping things, right? I remember listening to your podcast with Paul. And with the Green Industry podcast, and Paul had said, I was talking to somebody, and one of those things got ran over on somebody's crew, and they picked it up, and although a little mangled, it still ran. And it's I just think it's a good testament to the product you guys are building. And for like a really practical, for instance, I have some of these Echo 2620s that you guys seeded to us last 4 or 5 years ago when we were a part of the UAG program. And they're still running. Like they're still, it's our backup, but actually the one that you guys sent me 5 years ago is the one I use because it's the only one that we have without a Darwin's grip on it. My guy Rob that works for me, he's taller. He loves the Darwin's grips. I think they're cool. I don't personally need one because my back is already messed up. So nothing to really save there from weed whipping for 15 years. But so just a little testimony to you personally. My 2620 that you guys sent me from 2016 is and honestly, Jason, I know it's going to hurt your ears to say this. I don't even take care of the thing that well. I mean, we change the spark plug, the oil or the fuel filter, and the air filter once every year, maybe. And they're still running great. So Echo's been an engine company. Is that Yamabika that people might know the name of? Is that the mothership, or how does that work?
Yeah. So the parent company is Yamabiko, which is based out of Japan. So all the two-stroke engines are manufactured in Japan. So back before Echo was its own brand, Yamabiko had a chainsaw, and they had sub-branded it an Echo. And then that sub-brand kind of stuck, where people are coming in and be like, oh, I want that Echo chainsaw, right? It's like, well, it's an Echo branded saw built by Yamabiko, and it kind of just morphed into, Echo as being the brand name for everything that we were coming out with.
Sure.
I think it was a little bit easier to kind of understand and remember in the United States versus Yamabiko kind of being more of a Japanese, known name.
Right. Makes sense.
But originally it was a sub brand of one particular chainsaw that grew into a whole brand and a whole lineup of products.
Gotcha. Now, let me ask you this. While I got you, I'm not sure how much you cross technical expertise with Shindaiwa, but I know. Yep. So many guys across the country, and of course certain regions of the country, they are super popular. Like I have a guy here locally. His name's Bob. Runs a lawn care business. He will only buy Shindaiwa whips. And so what's the relation with Echo and Shindaiwa? Is that like Toro owns Exmark? It's similar but different. Like how does that relationship work?
Yeah, so Echo actually owns Shindaiwa. Echo acquired Shindaiwa, I want to say back in 2007 timeframe.
Okay.
So, it was also a Japanese company. And then they had an office, I think, out of Washington or Oregon. But we acquired Shindaiwa. There is some kind of legacy engines that we still produce that were Shindaiwa design engines.
Okay.
Some of the new units are basically the same type of inner workings of the engine as an Echo. But some of the kind of brand standards and the brand language of the Shindaiwa, from the cutting swath to the shield design to the grip design to the handle design, we kept that. As we transitioned into kind of a combination of Shindaiwa lower ends and Echo engines. And some people will, run an Echo and run a Shindaiwa, and they may have the same internal workings and same displacement of the engine, but, it feels different to them because of that difference in the handle configuration or the cutting swath. And, we've had people say, I prefer the Shindaiwa over the Echo or the Echo over the Shindaiwa.
Yeah.
When you look at the engine, they're identical. Outside of there's a couple changes that some people can appreciate, and that's why we have both brands today.
Yeah. Well, and I just wanted to show some love to Shindaiwa. I have some different folks that are like, you never talk about them, and I'm like, it's like the redheaded stepchild on our display floor at Weingart's. It's like just kind of tucked away in the corner, but man, they still sell units like crazy of Shindaiwa.
Yeah.
And so I remember when you guys did the UAG program, and I was there for a lot of these presentations and what have you. I remember you guys saying something like you acquired the front port exhaust, I think, from the hedge trimmer design that you guys adopted to your line. Is that still true?
Yeah, absolutely. So the hedge clippers, the Shindaiwa hedge clippers were, before the acquisition, were kind of the gold standard in the pro landscape industry. I mean, people loved them.
Amen.
They were super lightweight. Yeah, they were super lightweight. They had this, patented exhaust system on it. So you weren't dumping hot exhaust gases right onto the hedges you just trimmed, which sometimes, depending upon the type of brush, would lead to browning, that, looked really bad for a few weeks until it greened back up, So they were lightweight, they had super fast blade speeds, and you didn't have to worry about hot exhaust damaging the shrubs. So, I mean, they were, like I said, the gold standard, and that was probably the biggest thing that Echo gained by the acquisition was being able to utilize that technology that Shindaiwa developed into the Echo branded version hedge clippers. Yeah.
Well, and that was one of the things that was really impressive to me because I have a pair of Echo 2420 hedge trimmers, and I remember working for my friend Craig. Some of you guys have heard this story. I worked for this guy just like nights and weekends, and usually during spring and fall cleanups. He had a little bit bigger company and could keep me moving. This was 5-6 years ago, and I was learning more parts of the business. But we would use his hedge trimmers, and he had these, I don't know, like these pull-on pros, whatever they were. And, they were okay, but they were, homeowner grade, and we didn't do a ton of pruning, I guess. But then I got these Echo 2420s, and I just remember him saying, like, he was really impressed with that. Now, this guy has been in the green industry for 30 plus 40 years, right? And he goes, man, that port, faces forward versus it pointing down. We do a lot of boxwood, hedge trimming and pruning. And he goes, man, my shrubs always, yellow out, brown out after we prune them. Yeah. And so he was like, I need to get me a pair of those. And I didn't know what I didn't know, but he was like, he was like, just, as lawn care bros, we get mesmerized and, we just, geek out about gear and equipment, and frankly, for good reason. Like, that's really, really cool. And you can make the customer's experience that much better, with quality equipment. Yep. So let me ask you this. Let's fast forward on the timeline, 2016, 17, we get to know each other. We're hanging out at Echo. You guys are getting to know us. We're all getting to know you. Echo kind of what would you say, doubles down on going back to the commercial and the pro market. I think that was a huge transition for you guys, and I think there's a really good story there. So without going too deep into it, though, what was your guys' MO about the UAG and the new Pro Extreme line that I think was really birthed out of those conversations 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah. Really, what it was, Echo all along has always had commercial grade equipment. So even back down to your bent shaft, GT 225, that was $149, $169. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not something an average pro is using all the time, but if you actually looked at the quality of that engine, of how it was built, it had very much similar type of commercial grade qualities that you would find even like on a 2620, right? Okay. So, we had our brand, which obviously we sell through, multiple different channels. We sell through Home Depot. We sell through independent dealers. The Home Depot side of things usually carries the opening price point units, right? Mm-hmm. And then the dealers will carry opening price point and all the additional, higher end commercial units that we'd sell, at the time before the 2620 was like the 266 and the 261, 265. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't really know about those products, or they just kind of assumed it was the same thing that you got at Home Depot, but maybe a little bit bigger engine. Sure. So we always were just kind of sat back and said, well, it's all commercial grade, just some's a little bit more commercial duty than others. And then with the new kind of marketing management team that came in, they said, no, we need to find and identify and find a way to communicate to the users, what's commercial, which is everything, and then what's like the hardcore commercial, right? That has every bell and whistle and, the best air filtration system and the most durable engine and, the easiest items to restart, even if they're sitting in a trailer, in Arizona when it's 105 degrees out. And that's where the X Series kind of came to fruition. So the X Series identifies those kind of true hardcore elite, extra heavy duty units within a given category. So we generically say all Echo products are commercial grade, but the X Series is basically about 32 models that spans about 9 different categories. And what the X Series is, it's best in class performance. So those are the units that are really designed for the hardcore professional user, right? Someone who wants to get in there, have the most amount of power available to them. It's a piece of equipment. It's going to absolutely last them the most amount of hours possible. It's going to be as lightweight as possible, right? If you're carrying around a string trimmer for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, a pound difference makes a huge difference at the end of the day of how you feel. When you do make it home, you're not as burnt out or as fatigued. So the X Series are taking that commercial grade product and just doing some additional things with it, where we can take aluminum fan housing and make it magnesium. Magnesium's just as strong as aluminum, but it's lighter. Costs a little bit more, but if you're using it long periods of time, you're willing to pay a few dollars more for that. Bigger air filtration systems. Usually dirt and heat are about the number one killers of any two-stroke engine. So if we can use an air filtration system that keeps that dirt out of that engine, it's going to keep that engine running an extremely long time. even like you said, you lucky if you change your air filter, once a year, right?
100%.
If we didn't have a high quality air filtration system in there, that dirt would work its way into that engine. And then you're basically left with like a high speed grinder, right? You got this dirt and grit and running up and down with the piston, and it just grinds everything down. And all of a sudden you start gradually losing power, right? So it's air filtration system, it's lightweight components, it's high performance engines. A lot of times our engines are tweaked in the X series. Perfect example is we have CS620. It's a 59cc, same as our Timberwolf, but it's got a completely different engine on it, different ignition system, a different exhaust system, different port timing. We're able to take that 59cc and actually increase the power drastically on it to give you a chainsaw on the same footprint, a little bit lighter, and will outperform anything even close in its displacement range.
Wow.
So the X Series is really those items that have been identified to be the lightest, most powerful, most durable products within a given category.
And I'll tell you honestly, that's solid info, and that's really good. I appreciate you just educating, I guess even making the case for the Echo product. Guys, I'm not here to sell you on Echo. I don't get paid any differently. I know Jason probably does, but I will tell you, I'm a genuine believer in a lot of their product, and you guys have seen, we rock. When I put my own money to my business, there's certain products that I buy from Echo, certain products that I don't buy, and that's not bad or good. It's just I think that there's a lot of products that Echo really, really knocks it out of the park. And regrettably, one of the things I wish that I, had access to is one of those chainsaws that you guys have, the Timberwolves. And this isn't a plug for you to send me one. Okay, don't do that. But I just honestly I remember the commercials. I remember being at the UAG and so many guys, you get to pick a product or two, and those guys were like, I'm every I think every third dude or every other dude picked the Timberwolf chainsaw, and I didn't do a lot of chainsaw work or tree work, but now I'm kind of regretting it because I'm like, man, those things are badass. When I see guys using them out there in the marketplace, what? Let me ask you this, Jason. So you guys were changing the conversation from maybe being, I don't know if there's like this pie chart or this scale of like 70-30 homeowner commercial. I feel like you guys might have been able to bring that, center or maybe 60-40 commercial homeowner, right? I think the message is permeating very, very well out there in the industry. But let me ask you this. Let me play devil's advocate here. What do you say to the guy who's not an Echo fan? A guy who is going with a different brand. There's other brands, the elephant in the room. You got Red Max, Steel, Maruyama, yep. Right? And some companies are better at branding. Some companies are better at marketing. Some have a cult following. And my daddy used this, and so I'm going to use that. And I've done a lot of videos saying, look, I'm not loyal necessarily to a company. I'm loyal to my company to make money, right? And and I say that knowing that Jason's a friend of mine, but I'm also like, hey Jason, I need to make money. What do you say to those folks that haven't looked at Echo in a while, or they're so brand loyal to another brand? What's the difference right now with Echo these last 4 or 5 years, and why should they honestly take another look at what you guys are coming out with this Pro Extreme line?
Yeah, I mean, as far as, obviously I have a long history with Echo. I can tell you the period of time over the last, 5-6 years now has been a really exciting time in Echo. The products that we've just been producing have just been rock solid, all 100% geared towards, the commercial landscaper. And really it comes down to, for me, it's the proof is in the product, right? So, if you've maybe tried Echo back in the late 90s or early 2000s and we're like, I don't think it's a brand for me. It's not the same level of products. It's not the same level of performance. It's not the same level of pro dedication that we have today. And you know what? Give it a try. Start them up, see how they are. The ease of starting and the performance, and use it for a day and get the thing smoking hot, right? And throw it in a hot trailer and get to your next job, 5 minutes down the road, and see how easily it starts. It's all just trying the product. A lot of times when we don't try to do a hard sell. We let the product speak for itself. A lot of times when we have the fanboys for other brands, we're like, here, try it. tell us what you think, and if you like it, great. If not, then no bad feelings. And a lot of times, just getting a new product in their hands, anything from the X Series lineup, I won't say 100% of the time, but a good portion of the time, we'll get them converted into at least giving Echo another try.
Right. It's the what's the good old hold the puppy approach? Like, hey, just put it in their hands.
Yeah.
Calling all landscape pros who want to get serious about healthy turf and a healthier bottom line. It's time to throw down new innovations. Built on 50 years of proven agronomic proficiency, Lesco fertilizers, control products, seed, and equipment are engineered to produce more resilient turf. We'll continue to bring new technologies, so no matter the day, you'll always bring your A game. Upgrade and outperform with Lesco. Visit site1.com/Lesco today to learn more.
Which, by the way, I do respect that, because when you guys did the UAG program and you had you had I don't want to call them influencers, because I really don't like using that word. It's so cliche. But
Sure.
But you had a lot of professionals in, and guys that had $50,000 a year companies to a $50,000 a week companies. Okay, you had guys that were builders. You had Mark Thomas Builder and a couple other great folks in there. I remember.
Yep.
One of the things that really here's something that I think is just pretty macho is you guys invited a lot of those people in that were not Echo fans or users, right? And that could be the kiss of death. I'm like, what are you doing bringing in this guy? I'm like, don't you know that he's a user of this brand? I'm like, don't you know? I'm like, and I'm in there like, somebody didn't do their homework, right? And it was just really funny because you guys took the feedback from those folks just as well as the folks that were fans of Echo product, and I've seen the evolution of some of those people these last 3 or 4 years. And a lot of them, drive a hard bargain. They're not going to be swayed just because somebody gets a $300 weed whip. All right, guys.
Sure.
I don't honestly feel any influencer that I know of that's kind of like mainstream that you guys listen to or watch is like that. I know most of them. I'll tell you straight up, nobody that I know, other than 1 or 2 guys, have even got a check from Echo to do anything sponsored content. Echo doesn't really work that way. Okay, I've never got a check from Echo. If Jason, if you sent one, you guys got my PO box wrong, just so you know. But other than maybe exposing and sharing some product, maybe like the Stans or the Keith Kalfus's guys, very few people, if ever, have ever got paid to say anything nice about Echo. So what a lot of words just to say what that means to me is that when I see some of these other guys using other product and they switch over, it's not because they're getting a free weed whip or they're getting paid. They genuinely believe in the product, and to me, that is really, really cool. So I'm not here to sell you guys on Echo. Like I said, I don't have any stock in the company, if you will. But I will say to echo what Jason said, give them a shot. Go demo a 2620. Go demo. Gosh, what's the gargantuan blower that everybody talks about? The 9010. Can you talk about that?
9010, yep, PB 9010, absolutely.
That thing's a monster. So what was the thought process and the brainchild behind putting this? Did you take one of those old snowmobile engines from 1975 and put it? What? Explain this thing for those that haven't had the chance to use one for me.
Yeah, what's funny is ever since, I'm sure I've told the story 100 times, how Echo invented the backpack blower. No matter what we came out with, there was always a competitor coming out with something bigger. And it's like, anytime I did a visit or any prior product managers went out with a professional user, it was never enough power. It was always, we need more, right? So
sure.
Then, we went from 39 cc to 40 to 50 to 60, and it was just like, no, more. We need more, right? So, at the time, 2009 timeframe, we launched the PB 770, which is still in our lineup, still a workhorse, huge following on that unit.
Yeah.
That was the world's most powerful backpack blower back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, that thing held that position for several years, and then we saw competitors come out with bigger engines. So we basically want to kind of put an end to this arms race and just say, let's go as big as we possibly can, right? Which was that 79.9 cc displacement engine.
Wow.
We're going to make it pure high performance 2-stroke. It needs to be an X series out of the gate, so it needs to have a finely tuned ignition system and high performance carburetor. And we want to just put the competition to shame with this thing, right? And that's where the 8010 came out. So the 8010 was it's about 2 years now. We knew we could still do better, and we knew as soon as we launched at 8010, we were going to have a huge target on our back. History repeats itself. Anytime we come out with something, the competition's right there.
Sure.
So we want to keep the competition on their toes, right? So we redesigned kind of the shape of the fan, the shape and design of the fan housing, made some tweaks to it, and was able to get even more performance out of it, and that's what we labeled the 9010. So
okay.
we basically took the 8010, took that engine fan case design, tweaked it, got some more CFM out of it, more miles per hour, and a higher Newton rating out of it. So that's where we're at today with the PB9010.
All right. Well, fair enough. Well, I know before we snap our fingers here, 3 months from now, we're all going to be looking at leaf cleanups, right? And for some of you guys out there that are looking to make investments into, new equipment, again, do your own research. You guys, go demo. And I always say the same thing, Jason, go demo. But, catch that, if it might catch your eye, that 9010, it is, it's a beast of a leaf blower. It's one of those things where you could power yourself riding a skateboard around the block. Okay. I've seen guys do the whole cinder block thing where it pushes the cinder block out 10 feet. Well, let me ask you this. We'll kind of land the plane here. Last thing I want to ask you about while we got you, because I don't want to take your whole afternoon here. You got a very important role working with Echo is, in 2019, you guys did the Echo 20 for 20, and that was 20 new products for 2020. Now, we all know 2020 was a very peculiar and very interesting year for all things. And so we unfortunately didn't get to do as many open houses, live events. The expo, hello, was canceled. And so, or postponed, I'm supposed to say. As things got pushed to 2021, I feel like so many companies last year, for good reason, sandbagged. And so now, Jason, you guys, built this hype train. There was 20 for 20. So are we going to get 21 for 21 or what? Basically, I'm asking is what can these guys expect to see? Yeah. And here's your shameless plug for GIE Expo, right? They, I feel like they owe me, $50 every time I say their name. But what can we expect from the Echo booth this year for everybody who's making the trip down to Louisville? Anything that we can look forward to? Any teasers? And I'm pumped to see what you guys debut.
Yeah, I can tell you from a new product development standpoint, we did not take our foot off the accelerator. We did not pump the brakes. We've been planning now for several months for GIE Expo this fall. And I can't divulge how many units or what kind of products, but I can tell you it'll be another double-digit lineup of new products for. So we'll announce it in 2021, but it'll be for the 2022 season.
Okay.
A lot of planning, a lot of excitement, and quite a few new products coming down the pipeline. Okay,
very cool. So make sure you guys put it on. I always say make a list of things that you want to see at GIE. And because if you just literally jump into the hamster maze, you're just going to bounce around. Have a plan of things you want to see. For one of mine always is going to the Echo booth. I mean, so many great friends there over the last 5 years as well. Like Jason and Lonnie and so many other great people there. Jason, we didn't even get to talk about Echo and Red Armor and all this other mess because I've been an exclusive user of that for the last 4.5, 5 years since you guys did that Echo Red Armor challenge. So, little plug there for those guys. We have some great YouTube videos. I should do a follow-up video. I still got that engine camera that you guys gave us, and I wonder what my block looks like 5 years later with just beating the snot out of it. But it's exclusively Red Armor, so that might be a good little 5-year follow-up. It's probably one of the units that has the most practical wear and tear on it. But so let me ask you this one last thing, Jason. You said demo, and give Echo a shot. So are you going to be manning the outdoor booth? I think that's where you were posted up 2 years ago. So are you going to be back out there saying hey to everybody?
Yep, I'll be out there the whole time outside, running a couple different stations. And I'll be out there. Come on by if you want to, first time try out some Echo products or just try some of the new products coming down the pipeline. We'll be more than happy to show you what we got, kind of talk about Echo. If you have any questions about how it compares to the competition, just love having conversations with users, and definitely stop on by and see us.
All right. Well, fair enough. Well, guys, here's our not pitch for Echo. How do you guys like that? So we really do appreciate the folks that partner up with the podcast. If you guys enjoy the content that comes to you guys, Echo is a partner of the show for this fall with sponsoring a couple episodes. We truly appreciate that. I mean, they don't have to. They have millions of dollars of advertising going everywhere else, and for them to take a couple bucks and throw it at the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, Jason, we really do appreciate that. And so it was a selfish request. I said, hey, let me get somebody from corporate on the show, and they said, how about Jason? And I said, couldn't have picked a better person, in my opinion, right? So it's been a blessing to have you on the show. We super appreciate your time. Any last things that you want to mention, from any part of the field of Echo? If not, we'll button up right here. But we just really appreciate you taking time to be on the show.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the time. Appreciate all the kind words. I'm always here. I love talking about product. I love talking about Echo, the industry, anything, fuel, oil, whatever you want to talk about. I'm always here for you. Love to have some future chats. And I think just kind of closing things out, everyone stop on by GIE Expo this fall. And then I'd love to do some kind of follow-up podcast with you afterward, just kind of talk about all the new products coming on the pipeline. I think it would be, I think everyone's going to be really stoked and excited for it.
I like it. 100%. Well, we always appreciate when you guys make time for us. If you make time for us, we will 100% make time for you. It's a lot easier for us to, we're the little, jet ski out here. We're the dinghy. Okay. You're the aircraft carrier. So we much give you the right of way. Does that make sense? And so,
I love talking about the industry, and it sure beats staring at a spreadsheet all day. So I'm always here for you guys.
Amen to that. Well, all right. Well, we'll button it up right here. If you guys go down to GIE Plus Expo, make sure you guys, shake Jason's hand, thank him for the work that he's doing and the commitment from Echo. Tell him that you heard about all these products and you're visiting the booth. You heard from, Fullerton over here and the podcast. Like I said, Jason, honestly, tell Lonnie and Ken and everybody and Melanie that we super appreciate them. And guys, we'll button it up right here. So thanks so much again for being on the show, guys. If you enjoyed this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, don't forget to leave those all-important ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you guys enjoyed the podcast, we really appreciate when you guys also organically share it, throwing it up on Instagram, maybe tag Echo, let them know that you appreciate them as well. Those folks do read those, DMs and those emails and those comments. And so let them know that their quote-unquote ad dollars are going to work with them and for them. And if you guys are looking for a new leaf blower, consider the 9010. Consider the Echo 2620. It's got my thumbs up, my seal of endorsement and approval. So check it out next time you guys are at your local dealer or at the GIE Plus Expo. But that's what we got. So Jason, thanks again for being on the show, brother. Appreciate you big time.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, hey, we'll button up right here. Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. We look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next one.
Do you want to keep the cash flowing this winter? Head over to LaunchpreneurAcademy.com and check out all of Brian Fullerton's new courses and powerful resources to get you cashing in on that white gold through plowing snow. The snow plowing training course is easy to understand, and you'll learn what it takes to do the job effectively and how to bid, price, and estimate snow plowing for both residential and commercial properties. LaunchpreneurAcademy.com has 3 new resources to take the hassle and guesswork out of securing your snow removal jobs. Plus, there's eye-catching marketing materials that can help you secure new clients quickly. Ready to crush the snow game this year? Visit LaunchpreneurAcademy.com or use the link in the podcast description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, No one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.